There's a truth that most people only realize after going through too many failures, too many losses, and too many years of living far below their true potential. Life doesn't really reward the most talented people. It rewards the people with the strongest character. You can be very intelligent, full of potential, full of ideas, but if inside you lack discipline, lack consistency, lack the ability to keep promises to yourself, then sooner or later, your life will begin cracking from the inside out. I've met incredibly talented people, but 10 years later they were still standing in the same place. They still talked about their big plans, still talked about the right timing, still blamed circumstances, while more ordinary people, less talented people, quietly built solid lives. And then I realized something. Success does not follow talent. It follows the person you become every single day. There are people who walk into a room, and before they even say anything, you already feel like trusting them. Not because of the clothes they wear, not because of their title, not because they try to impress anyone, but because their character speaks before their words do. On the other hand, there are also people who speak very well, very confidently, with huge ambition, but the closer you get to them, the more uneasy you feel, because life is always reading an invisible resume that nobody can see. A resume that isn't printed on paper but written through. The way you keep your word, the way you behave when nobody is watching, the way you respond under pressure, and the way you live during the most ordinary days. That is what truly determines what your life will attract toward itself. Money, opportunities, relationships, trust, respect. Everything is attracted by character. It's not a coincidence that some people spend their whole lives chasing success, while others seem to go wherever they go, and opportunities come looking for them. Because life works like a magnet. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And the most dangerous thing is that so many people spend their entire lives polishing their image, but never truly building the foundation inside themselves. They try to look successful before becoming strong enough internally to sustain that success. So today, I want to talk to you about character, not the dry moral lessons from textbooks, but the thing that silently determines who will stand firm when storms arrive, who life will trust, who will be left behind, and who will become the kind of person opportunities naturally seek out. Because in the end, the strongest thing in your life is not your talent. It is the person you become when nobody is watching. I remember many years ago, I met a man who worked in sales. He didn't dress extravagantly. He didn't speak in a dramatic or powerful way. There was nothing obviously special about him at first glance. But strangely, wherever he showed up, people wanted to work with him. Customers came back. Friends referred new people to him. People trusted him very quickly. At that time, I didn't understand why. I thought maybe he just had better communication skills than everyone else. Or maybe he had some secret sales technique. But then one day, I saw him in a very ordinary situation. A customer called near the end of the day. There was a small mistake in the order, not a big one, not serious. It could have easily waited until the next day. But he still drove back to the store just to fix it and keep the promise he made. Nobody forced him to do it. Nobody checked on him. Nobody paid him extra money for it. But he still did it. And at that moment, I understood that what people truly trust is not talent. It is character. You see, life is always observing the little things. The way you arrive on time, the way you keep promises in situations nobody even remembers, the way you treat people who bring you no benefit, the way you react when things don't go your way. All of those things are writing an invisible resume. I call it the invisible resume. A resume that doesn't sit inside a folder, doesn't appear in interviews, has no stamp or signature, but people still read it every single day. Your children read it. Your spouse reads it. Your customers read it. Your coworkers read it. Even strangers can feel it after standing next to you for only a few minutes. The interesting thing is, so many people spend their entire lives polishing the resume on paper while neglecting the invisible resume inside themselves. They try to impress through appearance, through business cards, through words, through stories about the future. But character is not built through words. It is built through actions, repeated every single day. Some people talk constantly about honesty, but lie in small situations. Some people talk constantly about loyalty, but the moment someone turns their back, they begin speaking badly about them. Some people talk constantly about discipline, but cannot keep a promise to themselves for more than 3 days. And then they wonder why life does not trust them. But life always senses what lies behind words. That is why I believe what you are always speaks louder than what you say. You can talk about integrity all day, but if you cut corners when nobody is watching, people will feel it. You can try to appear strong, but if deep inside you constantly avoid responsibility, then sooner or later life will expose that truth. Character is like a scent. You cannot see it, but everyone who passes through your life can feel it. And the scariest thing is that many people do not realize what kind of scent they are leaving behind. Some people leave behind a feeling of safety. Some leave behind peace. Some make others feel like they want to trust them. But there are also people who carry chaos everywhere they go. Their words constantly change. Their emotions constantly change. Their commitments constantly change. Today they are highly determined. Tomorrow they disappear. Today they are full of motivation. A week later they quit. And life cannot build anything lasting on a foundation like that. I want you to think very carefully about this. Maybe what is holding you back is not a lack of talent. Maybe what is holding you back is that other people do not truly feel they can trust you long enough. Trust your stability. Trust your consistency. Trust that you will still be the same person, even when things become difficult. Because in the end, lasting success always follows trust. And trust is not created in one day. It is built through thousands of small actions repeated over and over again until your character begins speaking on your behalf. Now, I want to talk to you about something very few people dare to admit. Talent is one of the most glorified things in this world. Since childhood, we are always taught to become special, smarter, faster, better, more outstanding. And gradually, many people begin believing if they are talented enough, life will automatically make a way for them. But life does not work that way. If you live long enough, you will begin realizing something very strange. Many incredibly talented people live very ordinary lives. Even worse, they live in disappointment. You have definitely met people like that before. The people who were brilliant when they were young, the people with sharp minds, the people everyone said, one day they will definitely become hugely successful, but then 10 years pass and nothing truly happens. They still talk about potential, still talk about plans, still say, I know I could do so much more, but their lives remain stuck. And the most painful part is that they know it too. They see the gap between who they could become and who they currently are. That is a very silent kind of pain, because there is nothing heavier than carrying around potential that was never fully used. I once knew someone like that. He was incredibly intelligent. The kind of person who could walk into a room, listen to people speak for a few minutes, and understand the problem faster than everyone else there. His ideas were always brilliant. Creative mind, captivating speaker. Everyone thought he would definitely build something great. But the problem was, he could not maintain anything long enough. He started very strong, then quickly became bored, excited about a new plan, then abandoned it halfway through. There was always a next big idea, but no foundation strong enough to keep those ideas standing. And many years later, the people who once seemed less impressive than him built stable careers, stable families, stable lives. Not because they were smarter, but because they were more durable. That was when I understood. Talent may make people notice you, but only character makes life continue opening doors for you. You see, talent is very attractive in the beginning. It is like a huge flame, bright, powerful, attention-grabbing. But without discipline, without structure, without character supporting it underneath, that flame will eventually burn the person carrying it. Talent without discipline is like a beautiful house without a foundation. When the weather is sunny, everything looks fine. But the moment the first storm arrives, every crack begins to appear. That is why life usually does not reward the people who explode the fastest. It rewards the people who maintain stability the longest. The people who keep their word even when nobody checks. The people who continue working even after losing motivation. The people who still show up on difficult days. The people who still maintain integrity when there is no reward in sight. At first glance, those people do not seem especially remarkable. They are not always the most attention-grabbing people in the room. But 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, they are the ones still standing. Because life always prioritizes sustainability over flashiness. I want you to remember this sentence. Potential has never been achievement. Potential is only a promise. And if you do not turn it into action, it will become the greatest burden of your life. That is why many talented people end up living in frustration. They know they are capable of more than that. But knowing and doing are two completely different worlds. The distance between those two worlds is bridged by discipline, not motivation. Motivation is beautiful, powerful, but it is like the weather. Some days are sunny, some days are rainy. If you build your life based on emotions, then your life will always lack stability. Character is what keeps you moving forward on the days when inspiration is gone. And trust me, those are the days that truly determine your future. Not the days when you feel highly motivated, but the days when you are tired and still do the work. The days when you are disappointed and still keep your word. The days when nobody recognizes you and you continue building anyway. That is when character is formed. And that is also when life quietly begins changing the way it sees you. And then, when you understand that talent is not enough, you begin seeing success in a completely different way. Before, maybe you thought success was something you had to chase. You had to chase opportunities, chase money, chase recognition, chase other people so they could see your value. And the more you chased, the more exhausted you became. The more you tried proving yourself, the smaller you felt. The more you wanted others to believe in you, the more it felt like you had to convince the entire world that you were worthy. But there is a very deep principle in this life. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Let that sink in for a moment. Because if you truly understand it, you will stop asking, why don't opportunities come to me? And start asking, have I become the kind of person opportunities want to find? That is a question that makes people go silent, because it brings responsibility back to where it belongs. Not out there, not in the market, not in luck, not in other people, but inside you. You see, a person with strong character does not need to shout about their value. They do not need to brag about being trustworthy. Do not need to constantly talk about their integrity. Do not need to advertise themselves as serious people, because their life already speaks for them. When you keep your word long enough, people begin trusting you without checking. When you show up on time long enough, people begin giving you more important responsibilities. When you consistently do what you said you would do, people begin mentioning your name in conversations you were never even part of. And that is when character begins becoming a magnet, quietly, without showing off, without needing the spotlight, but it pulls the right things toward you. I once observed a small shop owner in a peaceful town. His store was not large. His sign was not more beautiful than anyone else's. He did not speak in a flashy way, had no special tricks. But every morning, as soon as the sun rose, his shop doors were already open, clean, organized, on time. If he said delivery would arrive on Friday, then Friday it arrived. If he quoted a price, then that was the price. If a mistake happened, he did not argue, did not blame his employees, did not try avoiding responsibility. He fixed it, that was all. Year after year, he kept doing those very ordinary things, and then something strange happened. People started talking about him, not because he told them to, not because he asked for referrals, not because he did anything shocking, but because his reliability became a form of currency. A father brought his son to that shop. A mother recommended it to her neighbor. Old customers returned years later, and I realized character is the most powerful advertisement money cannot buy, because advertising may convince people to try you once, but character is what makes them come back. You can buy attention, but you cannot buy trust. Trust is only given to people who have lived consistently enough to deserve it. That is why consistency matters so much. Consistency sounds simple, but in reality it is very rare. Most people start very strong. They promise strongly, speak strongly, dream strongly, plan strongly. But with just a little difficulty, a little delay, a little lack of recognition, they begin changing direction. Today they want to build a career. Tomorrow they want to rest. Today they want to change their life. Next week they return to old habits. Today they want to become trustworthy people. But when keeping their word becomes inconvenient, they choose what is easier instead. And life always notices those things. Not to punish you, but because life can only give something big to people who have proven they can handle something small. A person who cannot keep small promises to themselves will struggle to carry the large responsibilities success brings. A person who lacks stability on ordinary days will struggle to stand firm during high-pressure days. A person who is only good when everything is going smoothly cannot yet be called someone with strong character. True character is not how you behave when everyone praises you. It is how you live when nobody applauds. It is how you work when results have not appeared yet. It is how you remain calm when misunderstood. It is how you continue planting seeds when the ground still shows no sign of green. And that is where many people quit. They want the harvest, but cannot endure the planting season. They want a tall tree, but have no patience for the seed. They want to be trusted, but do not want to go through the years of quietly proving they deserve trust. But life has seasons. Nobody plants seeds in the morning and expects to harvest by the afternoon. Nobody builds character in 1 week and expects the entire world to trust them immediately. Character takes time, and time itself is what gives it value. A shiny new coin may attract attention for a moment, but a tree that has survived many storms is what makes people believe it has deep roots. You are the same way. When you live through enough difficult seasons and still maintain integrity, when you are tested and still keep your word, when you have the opportunity to do the easy wrong thing, but still choose the harder right thing, then a very special kind of force begins appearing inside you. The right people will feel it. The right opportunities will seek it. Shallow relationships will naturally leave, and lasting things will begin staying. That is the beauty of character. It does not only attract the right things, it also pushes the wrong things out of your life. When you become someone who lives by principles, people who like taking advantage of others will no longer feel comfortable around you. When you become someone who keeps promises, people who constantly break promises will become very obvious. When you become disciplined, the environments dragging you down will no longer fit you. And at that moment, do not fear when certain people leave. Sometimes character does not only open doors, it also closes doors that no longer deserve the person you are becoming. That is not loss. That is purification. Because when you change internally, the life around you begins reorganizing itself. Not immediately, not through magic, but through a very quiet law. The person you become determines what has the right to remain in your life. And then, life begins storming. Nobody escapes that. There will come a day when everything becomes difficult all at once. Financial pressure, work collapsing, people you trusted disappointing you, the plans you placed the most hope in suddenly falling apart right in front of your eyes. There are seasons when you feel as if life itself is testing you all at once. And it is during those moments that character truly begins revealing itself. Because anyone can be kind when everything is going smoothly. Anyone can stay calm when there is still money in the bank, when work is stable, when others treat them well. But when pressure arrives, the real person begins appearing. That is why I do not believe the phrase, hardship creates character. No, hardship does not create character. It only exposes what was already inside you. Think of it like a storm. When the weather is calm, all houses look fairly similar. From a distance, every house has a roof, walls, and appears solid. But only when the storm arrives do you discover which house truly has a foundation. One remains standing, one begins shaking, one collapses completely, not because the storm chose who was strong or weak, but because the storm only revealed the quality of the foundation that had already been built beforehand. People are the same way. Pressure does not turn a person angry. It only exposes the anger they have quietly nurtured for years. Crisis does not turn a person dishonest. It only reveals that their integrity was never truly strong enough. When money becomes difficult, your true character around money appears. When betrayed, your true emotional character appears. When you lose control, your true self-discipline appears. That is why I always say, ordinary days are where your future is truly decided. Not the days under bright stage lights. Not when everyone is watching, but the very ordinary mornings when you must choose between discipline or procrastination. Between keeping your word or making excuses. Between what is right and what is easy. Because every one of those small choices is quietly building the foundation for the stormy days ahead. I once saw someone lose almost everything. His business collapsed. Debt piled up. Friends disappeared. Nobody called his phone anymore. But what I remember most was not how much money he lost. It was the way he behaved during that season. He did not scream, did not blame others, did not turn himself into a victim of life. He simply stayed quiet and rebuilt one small step at a time. Woke up on time every morning, handled the smallest tasks first, kept his word in the smallest matters, paid off small debts one by one, apologized to the people who deserved apologies, continued showing up every day even though nobody expected anything from him anymore. And I realized that is true character. Not how you stand at the top, but how you behave when life pulls you down. Because many people think, when the big moment comes, I will become stronger. No, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. You fall to the exact level of character you have trained every single day. If you practice patience in small situations, you will have patience during crisis. If you practice self-control during ordinary moments, you will have self-control when emotions explode. If you practice integrity when nobody notices, You will keep your integrity when major temptations appear, but if you constantly cut corners in small situations, then do not expect yourself to be strong in large ones, because character does not work like a switch. You cannot suddenly turn it on when needed. It works more like a muscle. What you train every day is what naturally appears under pressure. That is why private habits matter so much. How you manage emotions when nobody sees, how you speak to your family, how you react to a small inconvenience, how you handle money before you even have much money. Those things may sound small, but character is always built in the smallest places. Nobody becomes strong overnight. A large tree does not become stronger on the day of the storm. It becomes stronger through thousands of quiet days of growing its roots deeper. And then one day, the storm comes. At that moment, what saves the tree is not its outward beauty, but the roots nobody can see. People are the same way. What keeps you standing during crisis is not the image you built for others to see, but the character you quietly built during the days nobody applauded. Some people look very strong until pressure appears. Some people look very ordinary, but when storms arrive, they amaze everyone. Because true character always stays quiet until the moment it is needed most. And the sad thing is, many people only begin wanting to build character after the storm has already arrived. They want to learn discipline when life has already become chaotic, want to learn calmness when emotions are already out of control, want to learn integrity after trust has already been lost. But foundations must always be built before the storm. Nobody waits for the sky to turn dark before starting to build a house. And life does not give you as much preparation time as you think. One phone call, one crisis, one failure, one loss. Sometimes all it takes is one difficult season for every internal crack to become exposed. So if your life is still peaceful today, be grateful for that. And use this peaceful season to build your inner foundation strong. Because when the storm arrives, what saves you will not be motivation. It will be the character you trained long enough for it to become instinct. And here is something most people do not like hearing. Character is not built in big moments. It is built in very ordinary moments, very quiet moments, so quiet that many people think they do not matter. The way you wake up in the morning, the way you keep promises to yourself, the way you react when small things do not go your way, the way you spend $1 when nobody knows, the way you speak to your loved ones after a long, exhausting day. Those things are where character is truly formed. I know many people are always waiting for a big day to change their lives. They think, when I get a better opportunity, I'll become more serious. When I make more money, I'll become more disciplined. When life gets better, I'll start improving myself. But life does not work that way. Character does not begin at the top of the mountain. It begins in things so small that nobody wants to applaud you for them. You see, if a person cannot even keep a small promise to themselves, then it is very hard for life to trust them with greater responsibilities. If you say you want to change your life, but cannot maintain a habit for 7 days, then the problem is not the goal. The problem is the character underneath that goal. Because in the end, every achievement is supported by the structure beneath it. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation must be. The greater the life, the stronger the character must become. I have seen many people want massive results while living with very weak habits. They want to be trusted, but constantly break promises. Want success, but only work when they feel inspired. Want life to change, but repeat the same behaviors every day. And then they ask themselves, why is nothing happening? But you cannot build a different life with the same old habits. The hardest part of self-discipline is not starting, it is repeating. Repeating when there are no results yet. Repeating when nobody recognizes you yet. Repeating when everything still feels slow. That is where character begins separating mature people from everyone else. Because many people love the feeling of beginning. They love inspiration, love motivation, love the feeling of starting tomorrow, my life will be different. But very few people learn to love the boring repetition required for life to truly change. Working out for a few days is not difficult, but working out when tired, when nobody is watching, when inspiration is gone, that is character. Saving money for a few weeks is not difficult, but managing money carefully for many years, that is maturity. Being kind when happy is not difficult, but staying calm under pressure, that is true strength. I want you to imagine character like an underground reservoir. Every small action, every time you keep your word, every time you choose what is right instead of what is easy, is another drop of water flowing into that reservoir. At first, you see nothing changing. Life still looks the same. You do not have more money yet. The results are not clear yet. And that is when many people quit. They think, maybe these little things do not make any difference. But they fail to understand one thing. No strong character is built from rare giant actions. It is built from small choices repeated thousands of times. Like a tree, you do not see it growing every day. But if it is watered daily, its roots quietly grow deeper into the earth. And then one day, while other trees fall because of strong winds, it remains standing. Not because it was luckier, but because it quietly developed deep roots long before that moment arrived. People are the same way. Many people see another person's success, but do not see the silent years spent building character behind it. They see confidence, but not the years of keeping promises to themselves. They see calmness, but not the years spent practicing self-control and silence. They see strength, but not the days that person kept moving forward without any inspiration left. True character is always built in loneliness, in moments when nobody knows you are trying, in choices nobody rewards you for, in mornings when you could completely give up, but still get up anyway. And that is what makes character valuable. Because anyone can do the right thing once, but not everyone can live the right way long enough for it to become their nature. That is why I believe discipline is actually a form of self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you are saying, my life is worth building seriously. When you continue trying in silence, you are saying, I do not need applause to become better. When you do the right thing, even when nobody is watching, you are creating a version of yourself that one day you can proudly look back on. And then one day, people begin calling it maturity. But really, it is only the result of many ordinary days, lived with discipline. You do not change your life in one moment. You change it through what you repeat every day. And character is simply the sum of everything you repeatedly do when nobody is watching. And then, after all of that, I want to tell you a very important truth. Character is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Many people live as if their personality is fixed. They say, that's just the way I am. I've had a bad temper since childhood. I'm not disciplined. I always procrastinate. I'm not good at controlling myself. But do you see? When a person repeats those sentences long enough, they begin turning them into a prison for themselves. They stop building, stop changing, stop believing they can become a better version of themselves. And that is when life begins standing still. I do not believe character is fixed. I believe it is like a block of marble, and every day you are holding the chisel in your hand. Every choice you make is shaping the person you are becoming. Every time you keep your word, a stronger piece of you is formed. Every time you avoid responsibility, a small crack appears. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you chip away another old weak part of yourself. Every time you stay honest in inconvenient situations, you strengthen the structure inside yourself. That is how character is built, not in one giant moment, but through thousands of small strikes of the chisel that almost nobody sees. I think what hurts many people the most is that they know exactly what needs to change inside them. They know they are procrastinating, know they are living below their true potential, know they are wasting time, know they are letting emotions control their lives, know they have broken too many promises to themselves. But knowing and changing are two different things. Because real change is always painful. Chiseling marble is not comfortable. It creates friction, creates noise, creates dust. And the process of building character is the same. It forces you to face the immature parts of yourself. The part that loves excuses. The part that wants to procrastinate. The part that always wants everything easier. The part that always says, I can start tomorrow. But life is strange. The things you refuse to fix eventually come back to control you. A little laziness, if kept long enough, becomes a stagnant life. A little lack of discipline, if repeated every day, slowly destroys your self-respect piece by piece. One small lie, if continually allowed, gradually erodes the integrity inside you. Character does not collapse in one day. It collapses very slowly, like a house whose foundation is being soaked by water. At first, nobody notices anything. Everything still seems normal, but over time, the cracks begin appearing. And then one day, all it takes is one small storm for everything to collapse. That is why I believe the small things you allow today are writing your future. Nobody becomes strong by accident. Nobody becomes trustworthy through luck. Nobody becomes a leader simply because they want to. Character always has a price. And that price is usually short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term strength. You must learn to do the right thing, even when your emotions do not want to. You must learn to keep your word, even when nobody checks. You must learn to continue, even when results have not appeared yet. That is when you begin sculpting yourself. I have met people who were very successful in society, but completely empty inside. They had money, status, image, but they had no peace, no real self-respect, could not sit alone in silence and still feel okay, because they spent their whole lives building an image, but never built the real person behind that image. And the sad thing is, today's world makes it very easy to forget what truly matters. People teach you how to impress others, but not how to maintain integrity. Teach you how to appear successful, but not how to become strong enough to sustain that success. Teach you how to speak, but not how to live. That is why many people look perfectly fine on the outside, while being full of chaos inside. And do you know what happens? Sooner or later, the inside always wins over the outside. If your inner world is weak, it will slowly pull everything else down with it. If your inner world is strong, it will slowly lift everything else up with it. Character always works that way, quietly, slowly, but with incredible precision. That is why I have always believed the most important work of a person's life is not making money. It is building a person strong enough so that when money comes, they do not lose themselves, not achieving accomplishments, but becoming the kind of person worthy of those accomplishments, not making others admire you, but living in a way that when night falls, you can still respect yourself in silence. Because in the end, that is real success. Not the feeling of defeating others, but the feeling of no longer needing to run from yourself. And trust me, there is no feeling more valuable than that. And then, after many years of observing people, I began realizing something that made me think deeply. Most people underestimate the impact their character has on the people around them. They think, that's my life. How I live is my business. I only need to worry about myself. But nobody lives alone long enough for their character to affect only themselves. You are leaving traces in other people's hearts every day. Your children are watching you. Your spouse is feeling your presence. Your friends are learning from the way you live, more than from the way you speak. And the scary thing is, so much influence happens silently. A child does not learn integrity from lectures. They learn it by watching their father keep his word. They learn it by watching their mother treat people well when nobody is watching. They learn it by feeling the atmosphere inside the home every day. Some children grow up in homes that are not wealthy but incredibly stable, because inside those homes there is honesty, respect, calmness, consistency. And then there are homes filled with material things, yet constantly full of anxiety. Adults breaking promises to each other, emotions constantly exploding, nobody taking responsibility, nobody keeping their word. Do you see? Character always spreads. It is like a scent inside a room. You do not need to see it, but everyone who walks in can feel it. That is why true legacy is not found in the amount of money you leave behind. It is found in the kind of person your presence created inside other people. One day, many things about you will disappear. People will forget the car you drove, forget the title you once had, forget how much money was in your bank account. But they will not forget how they felt around you. They will remember whether you kept your word, whether you made others feel safe, whether you stood firm when hardship arrived, whether you treated vulnerable people kindly, whether you lived truthfully according to what you said. That is real legacy, and I think that is also why character matters so much. Because external success, sooner or later, changes. Money can disappear. Reputation can change. The world's attention always moves somewhere else. But character stays. It follows you through every season of life. When you are young, character helps you build foundations. When you mature, character helps you protect what you built. And when you grow old, character becomes the thing that makes people truly respect you, not fear you, not admire your image, but genuinely respect who you are. I have met older people who, after sitting beside them for only a few minutes, made you feel peaceful. They did not try to appear wise, did not try to impress anyone, but every word they spoke carried weight. Every glance carried calmness. Every reaction made others feel safe. Do you know why? Because they had lived with integrity long enough. That character became a natural part of who they were. They no longer had to force it. It had become their nature, and that is the kind of person I think we should become. Not the person who gets the most attention, not the loudest person, not the person who appears the most successful on the surface, but the person who, when entering a room, makes others feel. This person can be trusted. You know, this world lacks many things, but perhaps what it lacks most is people with true character, people who keep their word, people who are stable, people who do not change principles for personal gain, people who remain kind even when life is not kind to them, people who maintain integrity even when dishonesty would be easier. And if you become that kind of person, you may not always be the loudest one, but over time life will begin placing into your hands things that raw talent alone could never hold on to. Trust, respect, peace, real relationships, sustainable opportunities, and most importantly, a deep sense of peace within yourself. Because in the end, real success is not being known by the entire world. It is being able to sit alone in silence and no longer feel disappointed in the person you have become. That is when character has completed its work, not by making you perfect, but by making you steady, not by removing storms from your life, but by turning you into the kind of person who can remain standing when storms arrive. And trust me, that is the true strength of a human being. So, if today you ask me, what truly changes a person's life? I will not say talent, will not say luck, will not say meeting the right timing. All of those things have value, but they are not the foundation. What truly changes your life is the person you are becoming quietly every day. It is character, because in the end, success is not something you spend your life chasing. It is something drawn toward the person you become. If inside you there is chaos, your external life will eventually become chaotic too. If inside you there is no integrity, everything you build will always feel unstable. If inside you there is no discipline, then even when opportunities arrive, you will not be able to keep them long enough. But when your inner world begins becoming strong, everything slowly changes. Not instantly, not like overnight magic, but slowly like the sunrise. Other people begin trusting you more. You begin trusting yourself more. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become healthier. Your mind becomes less chaotic. You no longer need to constantly prove yourself, because character begins speaking on your behalf. And that is when life begins opening different doors. Not because you became perfect, but because you became trustworthy. There is a very deep kind of exhaustion many people carry. It is the exhaustion of pretending to be someone else, pretending to be strong, pretending to be okay, pretending to be successful, pretending to be confident, but inside, always feeling unstable. Character ends that exhaustion. Because when you live according to what you believe, keep your promises to yourself, and build your life from integrity, you no longer have to perform. You do not need to remember what you said to impress others. You simply live consistently with who you truly are. That is real freedom. Not financial freedom, but freedom from needing to wear a mask every day. I think that is why people with strong character are often very calm. They do not need to compete excessively, do not need to constantly prove themselves, do not need to chase every pair of eyes, because they understand real value always takes time to be seen. A seed does not scream in order to become a tree. It quietly grows roots. And then, over time, everything naturally happens. Character is the same way. It develops in silence. But one day, it will begin changing everything around you. The way people see you, the way opportunities find you, the way you move through hardship, and most importantly, the way you see yourself every night. So, do not only ask, how do I become successful? Ask, what kind of person am I becoming? Do not only ask, how do I make more money? Ask, do I have enough character to sustain the things I want? Do not only ask, how do I make others trust me? Ask, have I lived consistently enough to deserve that trust? Because life is always fair in its own way. It does not give the greatest things to the people who speak the best. It gives them to the people who quietly built strong enough foundations to hold them. And if there is one final thing I want you to remember after this video, it is this. You do not need to become the most talented person in the room. You do not need to be the fastest. Do not need to be the most attention-grabbing. But become the person who keeps their word during difficult times, continues even when exhausted, remains kind after being hurt, maintains integrity when nobody is watching. Because that is the kind of person life always eventually finds a way to open doors for. One day, many things you are chasing today will no longer matter. But your character, the way you lived, the way you treated others, the way you stood firm during storms, those things will remain in other people's memories, in your family, in the people whose lives were touched by yours. And that is the true legacy. Not what you owned, but the person you became. If this video touched you, leave a period in the comments. I want to know that you are still walking with me on the journey of rebuilding yourself. And if you want to continue developing your mindset, discipline, and character on a deeper level, hit subscribe and continue this journey with us in the upcoming videos. Because success is not something you chase, it is something you attract through the person you become